The will was a lie, so I buried the truth slowly over 30 years. My grandfather owned everything. Not just the house or the land it sat on, but the valley, the hill, and the lake we swam in every summer since I was 5. There was no fence, no posted signs, just the understanding, this is ours. And when I say ours, I mean mine and my sister's. That was always the plan. He told us stories about how he bought the land back in the 40s, paid off in installments, built the barn himself with one good hammer and one broken rib. He told us we had to protect it. When we were kids, we'd sleep on the floor of the screened porch and listen to coyotes in the woods and fireflies against the mesh. He used to say, "This land remembers," and I believed him. So when he died, I was ready to grieve. But I wasn't ready to be erased. My sister Ellen was always the more charming one. She knew when to hug, when to cry, when to say thank you. She lived in the city, wore heels in the mud, and smiled like she didn't notice. We were never close, but I never thought she'd cut me out entirely. The funeral was small, quiet, just the way he would have wanted. Closed casket, no flowers, just the flag folded and the pastor's slow voice. Then came the reading of the will. It was in a little office in town. I showed up in a button-down shirt that still smelled like the old house. Ellen came in black silk, pearl earrings, and a man I'd never met sitting beside her, hands folded. The lawyer didn't look me in the eye when he said it. The entirety of the estate, including the land and assets, are to be left to Ellen. I thought it was a mistake. I waited for the correction. I waited for my name. It never came. Ellen didn't flinch, didn't look surprised, just signed where she was told and walked out with a folder tucked under her arm. I stayed in the parking lot for 2 hours after. What hurt wasn't the land. It was the lie. I went back to the house once more that summer. She hadn't changed the locks yet. I walked through the empty living room, the kitchen, the back porch. Every drawer was empty. Every photo was gone. She erased him. And me. But the land remembered. I slept in the barn that night, and I made myself a promise. I would not fight her. I would not beg. I would wait. And I would bury the truth so deep she'd trip over it when she least expected. I moved 3 hours east, got a job with a restoration company, learned how to work with wood and stone, learned how to document properties, scan archives, request permits. I became a specialist in land history. And I waited. Years passed. Ellen put the property up for wedding rentals, a rebranded farm with string lights and mason jar centerpieces. They paved the path down to the lake, replaced the screen porch with a yoga deck. They called it Hollow Lake Retreat. She made thousands. Brides cried under the oaks we used to climb. But they didn't know the land. I did. In year 12, I filed a request for the original deed at the county clerk's office. Scanned, microfilm. Found something interesting. My grandfather had added an amendment. A handwritten page, notarized. It read, "If either heir takes exclusive claim, the property shall revert to the state for auction unless both agree." It was never filed. But it was witnessed. And the witness was still alive. I visited him, Mr. Dobson, 92 years old and sharp as a nail. He remembered my grandfather, remembered the document, and agreed to sign an affidavit. I took it slow, built a case, filed no claims, sent no warnings. But I started the process. And I waited. In year 18, the first fire happened. A guest knocked over a candle in the yoga deck. It spread fast. The insurance covered most of it. But she had to shut down for a season. She called me for the first time in 2 decades. Asked if I could help with cleanup. I said no. In year 21, the state found out her septic system was non-compliant. It wasn't me. But I didn't help. She had to pay fines. Lost another summer. In year 27, I sent the affidavit anonymously to a preservation group. They filed a historical review. The barn, my grandfather's barn, was deemed historically significant. She couldn't tear it down. She couldn't build on it. She called me again. This time angry. I listened. Said I didn't know anything about it. But the land remembered. In year 30, she tried to sell. A tech couple from out of state. They offered 7 figures. But the title was flagged. Pending resolution of the deed dispute. No clean sale. And then I showed up. With the original document. The affidavit. The photos. The journal entries. The recordings. I showed them everything. The sale fell through. The buyers pulled out. She called me that night. She cried. Said she was sorry. I didn't yell. I just said, "You should have remembered the land." Then I hung up. I bought the property at auction 6 months later. She never challenged it. Didn't have the money. Didn't have the fight. I don't live there. I didn't move in. I keep it quiet. Empty. Except the porch. I rebuilt the screen porch. Same mesh. Same creak in the floorboards. And every summer, I sleep there one night. Just one. With the coyotes in the woods. And the fireflies at the mesh. Because the land remembers. And now, so do I. Thanks for listening to this story. If it stayed with you, comment, share, and subscribe. We share haunting, thoughtful stories twice a week. Every Tuesday and Friday at 7 p.m. Until next time, stay warm.